Hi everyone, Jurga again from Lanphier, and today I will be talking about different types of hair colors that you could really understand in a very basic terms without using any difficult terminology. What is the difference between permanent hair color, semi-permanent hair color, demi-permanent hair color, and also a fashion hair color? So I will be using, like I said, very simple terms that you could understand what is real difference between those colors. And also just to let you know that when you are calling the salon to book your color, it is not your job to know or to understand which color you need to book for. You wouldn't call the salon and say, I'm calling to book a permanent hair color or a semi-permanent hair color. It is our job as stylists and colorists to determine which color would be the best for you. And obviously there's a lot of nuances why we use certain colors and when. So we're gonna start from the strongest color, which is a permanent hair color. So think of the hair shaft. So I have this little drawing here. So imagine that this is a hair shaft. And as you know, our hair has these little layers. So we're gonna think of them like little doors that keep opening. So when we use a permanent hair color, the doors of the hair opening really wide, and the color penetrates deep into the hair by changing the pigment and coloring your hair. Which means that permanent hair color is gonna live in your hair the longest. It's not gonna wash out, it's gonna fade away a little bit, it's gonna oxidize over time, but for the most part, permanent hair color has to grow out of your hair. So if you colored your hair with a permanent hair color, it's kind of difficult to get rid of. It technically has to grow out and get out of your hair in that way. So the next hair color that is a little bit less strong than a permanent is a demi-permanent hair color. So the demi-permanent hair color, if the permanent hair color doors in the hair were opening very wide, think of it that the doors now opening just a little bit. They're not opening as wide as the permanent, and it's only a little bit of the hair color gets inside the hair shaft, and that color is gonna actually over time fade away from your hair. It's gonna still leave a little bit of demarcation for the regrowth, but it's not gonna be as pigmented and as strong as the permanent hair color because it did not go all the way inside the door. So those type of colors are usually for people who not quite very gray yet, but at the same time want to have that more natural look. Like I myself, I have gray hair, but I prefer using a demi-permanent hair color because I like that little sheer translucent look where it's not covering my hair 100%, but it gives more natural look. So the next hair color is a semi-permanent hair color, which is the most gentle hair color, I would say. And using semi-permanent hair color, the door of the hair is opening just a tiny little bit. So those are usually glazes, glosses. It's only something that sits on the top of the door without going inside of the hair. So it's coating the outer layer shaft of the hair and just going tiny bit inside, which gonna make the hair color fade out of your hair over time and completely wash out. So those colors don't last long. So like I said, usually we use those for the glazes, for the toners, or someone who just wants to have a little bit of a change, subtle change, and doesn't wanna drastically change their hair color. The fashion colors are usually, the way to describe, they don't work if the hair, let's say, is dark. If you are brunette and you want to have a fashion shade, you will have to pre-bleach your hair, which means you would have to lighten your hair in order for that color to look good, to have a vibrancy. But those colors, even on the bleached hair, they fade relatively fast. Other term we use is like a stain. It stains your hair. It stains for that time, it looks bright, but over time it washes, it fades away, and it goes back to that blonde color that we pre-bleached to in order to put the fashion color. And it just fades away from your hair because the door is really not opening, it's just sitting on top of the shaft to stain your hair into the fashion shade. So that basically would be summary in a very simple terms without using any chemistry, why and how and when, the difference between the permanent, demi-permanent, semi-permanent, and also fashion colors. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us below in the question section, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.